So people say Eminem is not from Detroit because they say he from Warren, and Warren is across 8 Mile. 8 Mile is a street that connects Detroit and connects Warren, right? But I mean, they might have said, okay, he lived in Warren, but I mean, when you think about everything he did with the culture in Detroit, that's what I want to talk about, right? Because Detroit is real particular on, who's from where and what side and what part. So let me listen to this real quick. Who's from where and what side. Bet. Sound good. So Detroit is real particular on like what part you from. So if I was born, let's say Oak Park, Southfield, right? They say you're not from Detroit, even if like I was in Detroit a lot, right? So it's real particular. You got to be real specific on Detroit. Number one, because I think Detroit is a city of struggle. So it's kind of like an honor to say I'm from Detroit because it shows that you got strength and significance that you can survive, right? It's kind of like a pride. If I survived in Detroit, I could survive anywhere. And that's why people take it so serious when they talk about Detroit. It's like, bro, if you grew up in Warren or you grew up in Southfield, even if you right there, the thing with Eminem is he was cool with people like Royce the 5'9". He was cool with the whole D12, Proof, everything, right? And Royce still endorsed him to this day. Royce is a Detroiter that's out and active. I met Royce the 5'9" in Detroit, during a protest in 2020. So Eminem had a lot of cultural significance in Detroit, in the city. But a big reason people really talking about it now is because they saying they don't really see Eminem. They saying he not doing nothing. They saying it's just mom spaghetti. They saying it's just like him just popping up, he a ghost. So that's the problem that people got. They saying he not involved in the local music scene. Rappers like T Grizzly, Sada Baby mentioned some stuff like this. Ever since then, like T Grizzly kind of made videos moving forward and talking with Royce the 5'9" about his diss that he made about Eminem, where it was like, I run Detroit niggas talking about Eminem, talking that shit, I kill you, Eminem, right? And he was really saying it from a way of like, bro, I'm the hottest rapper in Detroit right now. People keep talking about Eminem. It was an arrogant way of saying, come on, dog. Like, why everybody keep talking about Eminem? I'm sure when he was going out of town, people was like, are you from Detroit? Do you know Eminem? Because people, like, I'm not even that like known as like a T Grizzly, but when I go out of town, people will ask me, oh, do you listen to Eminem or Eminem? Have you worked with Eminem? When somebody asks me, I can put a screenshot up of somebody saying, Trey, like, you should just ask Eminem for help with your Battle Block project. And I'm like, what? Like, so I can imagine at that level, he probably get bombarded with Eminem, Eminem, Eminem. So he like, bro. So he said, look, I done put in all this work to become that. So Roy stepped up. They had some back and forth in some interviews, but they really dealt with it in a dope way of like, nah, bro, like it ain't, it was just a misunderstanding. And saw it in a way like, if I ain't heard of you before, if I ain't heard your name on the streets like a Big Sean or like a whatever, then you ain't really from Detroit. And it's almost like, bro, we out here risking our lives putting in work. If you not in the streets and we hear Eminem name or Big Sean name, then. But that's a bold claim to say you're not from Detroit, right? Because not everybody is. And this is the disbalance. Not everybody is gonna be actively in the streets. Like I'm from the streets, but I don't walk around and be like, oh, I'm a street and I'm a street. Bro, I want to make money. I want to travel the world. I got more of a rock star vibe than a hood vibe. You know what I mean? And I love it. Like I love just that gritty image that I got. So Big Sean being a rap star and getting into like the pop scene and everything he doing, it's like, I just think the biggest thing is Detroit should have different segments of talent. You would never see an influence. I won't say never, but you won't really ever hear about an influencer scene in Detroit. You know what I mean? You won't say like, oh, it's TikTokers or influencers in Detroit. It's not really a scene for that here. Um, because of like, it's like if you're not a Detroit rapper scamming, shooting, trapping, then you really not like Detroit, the city. And our city is known for that specific sound, that specific genre, right? The thing is with me, I'm not complaining at all because I get a lot of love from most Detroit rappers. Like if you go on my Instagram, a lot of the rappers do follow me. I follow them. I listen to the music. I know what's going on in the culture. The biggest issue is that like it's almost like, look, if you're not actively in the streets in Detroit, then you're not Detroit. So that's one of the biggest problems that we have as Detroiters, I see. And somebody like Eminem, though, when he came up, it was a whole different era. right? He came up in an era where it was like hip hop, battle rap, ciphers. So now when things change, he didn't really adapt too much with the time of it changing. So adapting for Eminem would have been like working with the up and coming artists, featuring them, kind of like how Drake do. You know how when a new artist blow up, it was a Drake effect. Drake would feature them, and then they'd get exposure, and then they'd be like, "Oh my God, I earned the Drake feature." It was like a thing. So if Eminem would have did that, he would have been straight. Also, when you think about racially with the divide, when you talk about redlining in Detroit, where black people wasn't able to get loans in certain areas, so people in Warren might have got treated a certain way versus people in Detroit. And I wasn't really too involved in around during like a lot of that was at its height. So it's kind of like, bro, how can you claim this? But with the same argument, it's like if Eminem was really benefiting from being a Warren citizen, but he chose to be a part of Detroit struggle, then you can't really knock bro hustle for real. Because it's like if Eminem was like, okay, I'm from the, I'm living in Warren, but I'm still about to associate and involve myself with Detroiters. So I don't know how much of accuracy the movie had, but when you look at the movie, it's like bro was really out there for real, putting himself in it. So I think the biggest thing that Eminem can do right now is like donate to something in the city, donate to something that's going on, or when it comes to property, and uplift people in the community that are struggling. Now it'd hit hard if Eminem do it. It'll make so many headlines. I promise you it would. Like it'll just be something that would be big for him, and he can put that to rest, right? But like Royce was saying, Eminem don't owe anybody, right? He don't owe anybody nothing. You know what I mean? They don't owe anybody nothing. But at the same time, in order to be somebody who has cultural significance in your city, then you have to stay active in a way. Like when Big Sean came back to Detroit and we did the Bottle Block event, that's how me and him met. He came with security, FBI blocked off the whole neighborhood, and he came to the hood and did a whole event and brought out all these different artists. It was so dope to see that. But that's why like the city still rock with Big Sean. Him doing little stuff like that, even if it's once a year. He be doing stuff like the Thanksgiving turkey drive, going back to the Boys and Girls Club. He do like maybe 2 to 3 events in Detroit, but it's good for him because he'll always be a hometown hero and a hometown legend. Specifically in his music, as he rep Detroit, it's a lot of credibility that come with that. So if you can't really rep the city and the city don't claim you, then it's hard for you as an artist, because it's like if the city not claiming you, then when people are like, well, you say you from Detroit, but people saying that they not listening to you in Detroit, it's like you lose that credibility and that cultural significance. So it's important to do things in your community. So I wonder, my prediction is that Eminem go come out and do something big. I got a prediction that Eminem just gonna unveil something big, because he one of the people that don't do what people tell him to do. He's sitting kind of